and welcome everyone to What an Impact, the official podcast of Facebook.com/groups/TNA, where the big boys play. This is episode number 3. It's recorded live on September 13th, 2012, directly after this week's Impact. Tonight's conversation has been brought to you by FTW Podcast. FTW is the most interactive TNA and WWE discussion on the internet today. Join the discussion each and every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time?
1 a.m. sounds good.
All right, my name is Garvin, and with me, filling in for Out on Bond Steve Galan, is Lee from WrestlingNewsSource.com. Lee, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
As you can tell, he's British. And you, too, can join the conversation by adding the FTW Podcast on Skype or by posting your thoughts in the live chat here on FTWLive.com. Again, add the FTW Podcast on Skype, and we'll add you into the discussion so you can let your voice be heard. You can also call us at 313-444-3894, and we will try to bring you on as early as we can. For the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to be running down tonight's Impact, plus we'll react to No Surrender, and an interesting comment made by JB and Mike TNA on this week's Explosion. Once again, the FTW Podcast on Skype. I know we have a few people already on, so we'll try to bring you on throughout the show. But right now, let's talk about Explosion. Real brief, AJ Styles defeated Robbie E. That was the big match of the night. Explosion was basically a AJ Styles celebration show. Really pumped up AJ Styles. He was also in the Wrestling Rewind match where he faced Tommy Dreamer from years ago. But JB and Mike tonight also talked about the possibility of AJ Styles being inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame. Should he be? That's the question that we're going to be asking you guys tonight. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on. So as soon as you come on, you let us know. Lee, I know you have an opinion on that, but we'll save that. Save that a little on.
We will.
This Sunday, the previous Sunday, we saw No Surrender. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about No Surrender, what happened on the show, and basically how that affected tonight's Impact. First up was the BFG qualifiers. We saw Samoa Joe versus Jeff Hardy. James Storm versus Bully Ray. We saw Jeff Hardy and Bully Ray move on. Lee, those are the two guys that you picked. Obviously not surprises to you, but surprises to some.
Yeah, I know for an absolute fact that the majority of people were wanting Samoa Joe to beat Jeff Hardy at least, because everyone kind of had this backhanded mind that Samoa Joe, it was his time now. You know, TNA, that they have used him, but they haven't. You know, he's not been up there for a hell of a long time now, and this was his moment to shine. But clearly not. I mean, I don't know what the guy has to do to get a break, to be quite honest. But it did surprise me, actually. I did say Jeff Hardy was going to win. That's only mainly because of the main event, the way it went. It was still a surprise to me.
Yeah, and we talked about this on last Thursday when we were basically previewing No Surrender. You know, Hardy is basically TNA's biggest star, whether we like it or not. Bully Ray, not many saw him going over James Storm, just because we all expected James Storm to, somehow bring that feud back to Bobby Roode. And it seemed like the main goal was to have James Storm versus Bobby Roode for the world title. So he had to win, but obviously he didn't. Obviously that's not the direction they're going.
I think it was said just before this tournament started that James Storm and Bobby Roode would meet at Bound for Glory. That has been the plan all along, for an absolute fact. So the fact that he would beat Bully Ray here would be a bit weird to me. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I didn't see Bobby Roode coming and smashing it over his head and costing him the match, but that was a brilliant way to set up the feud anyway.
Totally.
But we all knew. Say again, sorry?
Totally,
yeah. And it's just, Storm and Roode, it's a perfect combination. They don't need the title. I was angry that Storm didn't win at Lockdown, I think it was, because he had all the momentum going in. They should have won. But they need to make it up big time at Bound for Glory. So I could definitely see.
I thought Bully Ray was going on to win this, so I had to choose Bully Ray anyway.
Yeah. And I chose Bully Ray to win. That's who I was looking forward to seeing, in those finals. But before we get to that, the Knockouts Championship was next. Miss Tessmacher successfully defends against her teacher, Tara. Do you think they made the right decision with this match?
This match, the one at No Surrender, yes, just because, again, she's not had the title for that long. You could kind of see what was going on. The argument against it is she's just not connecting with anybody. She's not good enough, and the fans just, there was some booing tonight, but we'll get onto that later. I don't particularly like her. I prefer Tara as a champion, but it wasn't her time to move on yet. You could see she was going to retain.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Tessmacher fan. I think she's okay. She's definitely improved over the last few months.
I'd agree with that, yeah. Absolutely.
But I definitely don't see her being that championship material. I don't think she's at the level to hold the title yet in the ring. And yeah, you're right. She's not really getting completely over with the crowd. It seems like they're a bit lukewarm on her.
Yeah, they're kind of pushing TNA, kind of pushing her that way. They're trying to get them to connect, with different ways, and they've tried to do it again tonight. But again, we'll move on to that later.
Sure. Next up was Austin Aries versus the Aces and Eights member, the Arm Breaker, as they were calling him. It ended in a no contest, sort of. I mean, it wasn't an official match. There was no refs, so there was no opening bell. It was just a straight up fight. And I think they kind of alluded that to during the Impact before, where they said he's not medically cleared to wrestle, but he doesn't have to be medically cleared to fight. So that's all this was. It was just a fight to continue to progress the storyline. I think it was an okay setup. I think it pushed the overall feud between TNA and Aces and Eights well. There was no clear-cut winner. Obviously, it ended with all of Aces and Eights coming out for the fight, which brought all of TNA out. So, your thoughts on this?
To me, it kind of felt like it was more just an extended version of Impact. It was just kind of like, this has been done, twice before. It's all ended in pretty much a brawl as such way, and everyone eventually came out. It's been done again. It felt really, really similar, and because last Sunday obviously was NFL Day. It almost felt like they were just kind of little holding pattern because they're building up something a bit bigger, which I think they're trying to slow down the process a little bit because it didn't feel special to me. I had a problem with Austin Aries, just kind of. He's the TNA champion and he was firmly in the start of the card. I really have a problem with the fact that he wasn't doing something major. I know it's a major role, but not the pay-per-view itself.
Yeah, it was a major role in the storyline. He is the world champion, but it wasn't, an official match, and the title wasn't on the line. So, yeah, I thought it was odd placement, too. I totally expected that to be not the main event because obviously the BFG finals was going to be the main event, but just in general, I thought it'd be a little bit higher in the card. So for it to be the first hour's main event, I thought it was odd timing, but I still think it progressed that storyline well. I didn't so much like everything they did that night. It seemed kind of forced and really awkward. The whole bringing the police in and locking down
Impact made Hogan look so daft. I mean, since when does Hogan tell the police what to do? It's been said before, it'll be said again, but when does that ever happen? I know it's Hulk Hogan. I know he likes to go over the top. I know he's a bit of a dodgy player, but it's just he doesn't have control of the police. You can't lock down the arena. You can't lock every exit. Come on, slow it down. take a chill pill.
Yeah, there's definitely an awkward role reversal here. Hogan, sure, he's in charge of TNA, but he's not in charge of security, and that's kind of like what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. But anyways, moving on. Azima Ion successfully defended the X Division Championship against Sanjay Dutt. That surprised no one. Obviously, it would be great to see the title on Sanjay Dutt just because we haven't seen it yet. But it was his first real title match. It just didn't seem right, especially because there was no build for it at all. As we moved towards No Surrender.
Yeah, that was the main thing. That was the main way you could just tell that there was no title change. There was no build whatsoever, which it deserved. If there was one match that actually needed building, it was probably this match. So it was disappointing. It was a solid enough match overall. It was just you couldn't really click, and the crowd couldn't really click just because of the fact, why should we care?
Yeah, and the X Division is something that we consistently say is the major division in TNA. That's what gets everyone excited. And yeah, it didn't really deliver, but it also didn't have any type of build up to deliver to. So we also saw RVD versus Magnus. Nothing really splendid here. It was your average match. RVD defeated Magnus. This was built up from last week's Impact. So it seemed kind of last minute just to throw these guys into a random match to get them onto the show for filler.
Yeah, I'm actually more surprised who won. I'm really surprised RVD won because, let's face it, it wasn't the biggest of pay-per-views. It wasn't that important. They could have given, Magnus hasn't had any kind of rub or anything. They could have given him a win here just to step him up that little bit to the next level or such. But no, they went with RVD, which it surprised me actually.
The tag team championships, Kaz and Daniels successfully defend against AJ and Angle. Lee, from our Thursday show previewing No Surrender, you were the only one to say you thought Kaz and Daniels were going to win. Everyone else was, looking forward to seeing AJ and Angle once again holding those titles. Obviously not a surprise to you.
Well, I don't get why everyone voted AJ and Angle. Why? Kaz and Daniels, They've just got the things back as such. Well, they haven't just got them back, but they're playing this role that they've been doing for a while now. Why would they lose it? Why do AJ and Angle need it? They don't. They have got something else coming up completely. They're dealing with aces and eights and all this, and they just didn't need it. So why the title change?
Sure. Yeah, I could see. I agree with you now as we play Monday morning quarterback. I can totally see your reasoning. I think it was just exciting to think about AJ and Angle once again holding the titles, just because it was awesome. The first time around this year, and they only held it for 18 days. So to have them back into it now, the BFG series is over. That was my reasoning. Plus, that would add a nice, interesting dynamic to the whole tag team championships, like that whole race. So.
I'll be quite surprised if AJ and Angle are still teamed up for Bound for Glory. It'll really surprise me because I think they can do better than that. Just my opinion, but I really think they can create a better match doing something different than the tag team championships. Just purely opinion wise, I reckon it could be better for me.
After Bound for Glory, sure. I think there's a lot of opportunities for a bunch of different directions that we can pull. So. But okay, BFG series finals. It was Jeff Hardy versus Bully Ray. Jeff Hardy obviously got the win. He's got the title shot at Bound for Glory. No one wanted Jeff Hardy to win. No one even predicted that he would win.
I said this on Tuesday. Out of all the stories you could have told James Storm finally getting there. You could have told Samoa Joe it's his time. You could have gone Bully Ray because of the fact it looked like it was going to be Bully Ray to win it, and they go with the least compelling story of Jeff Hardy. Why do you torture us like this? He may sell so much merchandise. He may be the fan favorite, but it did not make sense.
Yeah, I can't argue that. Overall, I didn't want to see Hardy win. But he won. That was not the best story. But overall, he is the big money maker there. He is definitely the fan favorite with, a large portion of the demographic. So I can see it. I don't agree with it, but we'll move on. So let's move on to Impact. Tonight's Impact, somewhat awkward Impact overall. It seemed to really flow strangely. Everything moved really fast, and they interrupted just about every awesome moment with a commercial.
Oh, God, right. When there was in the main event, the last segment, there's a commercial, and we're back on Impact, and oh my God, it started, and we're going back to a commercial.
Yeah, it was. They had a lot of momentum going into something. We finally were able to get excited, and then commercial break. So I don't know. I don't know if that was a Spike TV thing or TNA just not managing the time well. We could say the same thing in the main event. The main event seemed kind of rushed as well. So that could be who knows. But anyways, it started off. Hardy is in the ring with Austin Aries. They basically build up the title match of BFG. Bully Ray comes out and basically tells Jeff Hardy that he was lucky, challenges him. They almost have a brawl, but Bully Ray leaves. So there's kind of some tension there that maybe they'll schedule the Bully Ray versus Hardy rematch, which we'll find out later. Also backstage, James Storm arrives at the arena. He's obviously pissed off about what happened with Robert Roode. So many are speculating that he's going to say something to Bobby Roode tonight, basically start the feud that we've wanted for, a long, long time.
It's been an absolute stupid amount of time that I've been watching this feud develop slowly but surely. Then it went away again, and now finally it's come back, and finally we can see the match. It's been a long time.
By the way, I am seeing you guys on Skype. There's a few people that want to hop on. We're going to try to rush through Impact right now, just to try to get this, just to talk about this card. Then we'll bring you on to get your thoughts about tonight, where they're going for Bound for Glory and that sort of thing. Taz and Tenay in the classy moment of the night made mention of Jerry Lawler, basically wished him a speedy recovery. And
very, very cool moment from TNA, by the way. They didn't have to do that. That was very, very classy.
Yeah. Zima Ion. Okay, this is the first No Surrender rematch. Okay, Zima Ion defeated Sanjay Dutt once again. The X Division title was on the line. After the match, Zima continued to, on his attack, basically pushing heel mode. To me, Ion looked really disinterested in this match. It's weird. I'm really torn on the guy because I looked at him as a future star. I really saw great things with him, and then it's been weird. At least the last 2 weeks. Maybe it's because he hasn't been on TV in a month, or I don't know. But the match they had at No Surrender was okay, and tonight he just didn't look interested. He didn't look like he was into the match. Sanjay looked great though.
Yeah, he did. He looked like he was coming out the blocks flying, to be honest. He looked like they pretty much had, 3 minutes to impress. But I've got to agree with you. He didn't look too interested. But again, that could be down to the fact they're just not getting much time. They're getting 4 or 5 minutes, if that.
Yeah, it did seem rushed again. It was one of those other time things. But an interesting note, and this is being talked about in the live chat. Zima Ion is basically going through and injuring his opponents. Really trying to take advantage of, Sanjay Dutt's arm injury, going back to Sorensen's neck injury. I mean, he's like, they're definitely trying to make him out to be this really violent guy who can take out anyone. I'm not sure where they're going to go with it. I'm not sure if I like it, but hopefully it pays off well. Backstage, Hogan talks with Kaz and Daniels. Kaz and Daniels basically want to have a tag team match. They're the champions, so they feel like they should be on TV. Hogan agrees, but he basically books them in 2 separate matches. Daniels has to face either Hernandez or Chavo. Kaz has to face either AJ or Angle, and if either lose, then they'll have to defend the titles against that team. But I didn't catch when. It was either for next week at Open Fight Night, or it was at Bound for Glory. I'm hoping it's for Bound for Glory.
It would make more sense for it to be at Bound for Glory, but I didn't hear him. I didn't even hear if he said if it was it was going to be a triple threat or anything like that. Did he say that?
No, he never said that because I don't think anyone expected them both to lose.
I do like the way that Hogan doesn't like the tag champions. He doesn't want them to win. He doesn't like Daniels. He doesn't like Kaz, and he wants them to, he wants them off the belts. He doesn't want them there. So you can see where they're coming from. They're trying to book him, trying to overcome these obstacles, and it's a nice story.
Yeah. I definitely thought this was a cool way to book the next tag team championship match. I still feel that way after we've seen the show, but. Okay, Storm versus Rude. That was the next segment. They were basically building up for Storm versus Rude at Bound for Glory. It sounds like it's also going to happen next week at Open Fight Night. Your thoughts on how they're building up this feud now?
I'm fine with it. I personally, you could have started it a bit earlier, but it makes sense. They've got a month. They've got three weeks to build it up as such. We all knew this was coming at some point, and just the fact that he comes out and starts beating him down, fair enough.
Yeah, the commercial break basically just interrupted the brawl. When we came back from the break, the fight was over. They were broken up. They were basically both removed from the area. So again, that was one of the first major cuts that interrupted something that was really exciting. And obviously, I think all of us are really happy with the idea that once again we're going to see Rude versus Storm. That was the major story last year. That was the major story earlier this year. So I think it's a great way to bring this back to light.
I suppose the back argument is that they didn't want to give away too much, physical. They want you to buy the pay-per-view to see him really go at it. That's kind of the the reason why they went to the commercial. But still, I didn't like it very much.
All right, up next, AJ Styles versus Kaz. A no surrender rematch. Overall, it was a quality match. It was a good way to close out the first hour, which was mostly build up for Bound for Glory. Or potentially upcoming impacts. Let's quickly move on. I know we have a few people that want to come on. Again, you can add us on Skype, the FTW Podcast. You can also call 313-444-3894. Try to hold off your calls for another about 5 minutes or so. All right, so backstage, there's some Hogan and Joseph Park work. They're basically talking about aces and eights and what's going to happen next week with that. We go to commercial. We come back. Hogan is in the ring. He makes Bully Ray versus Jeff Hardy official for tonight, calls out aces and eights, another situation where they're on the big screen, basically turning the tables on Hogan, basically saying that TNA is already infiltrated and he won't expect the next time they attack. Chavo versus Christopher Daniels. We've needed a quality match from Chavo, and we really haven't seen it since his TNA debut. He needed to win this match so that it would be an opportunity for Chavo and Hernandez versus Daniels and Kaz for the titles. Chavo wins. That basically sets up a triple threat match. Because of that, we could either see them set up a number one contenders match for next week, or we might see a triple threat match. And if we see a triple threat match, that kind of has to go on Bound for Glory, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has to go for Bound for Glory. It can't go for next week. It's too close in terms of time-wise.
Following that, we saw basically a video package for the Gut Check contestant for next week. I didn't catch his name, but he's 18. He's been training in the Killer Kowalski School, which is a very, very nice school. That's where a lot of awesome wrestlers have come from. So possibly we'll see some great work from him. But I don't know. I'm kind of excited, especially after last week's debacle with Chris Louis. But all right. So after that, there was a powwow with management, where they were basically trying to figure out who was in Aces and Eights and how was TNA as a management team going to face them. And then, I'm sorry, you know what? I skipped over Tara and Tessmacher. Tara basically congratulates Tessmacher for winning. We all saw it from a mile away. Tara turns, another heel turn for Tara. That feels like they're building another rematch between the two for Bound for Glory. Do you think that's the direction they're going to be going?
Yeah, it definitely will be. There's no doubt as far as I'm concerned. The turn was made tonight. They've got 2-3 weeks to build it up now. And I have a feeling Tess Mako will go over Tara at the pay-per-view. Tara's just making her look good. But I hope that's not the case, but that's where I think they're headed.
Yeah, that's where I think they're headed too, and I'm excited for that rematch. Mostly because, I mean, I like Tara, and I like the fact that they're putting her in a nice title feud. And finally, the main event, another no surrender rematch. 3 out of the 4 matches tonight were all basically rematches from No Surrender. Bully Ray versus Jeff Hardy to decide who was going to take that title shot at Bound for Glory. Jeff Hardy wins. Bully Ray loses cleanly. How does Bully Ray survive? How does he survive from this?
I'm not too sure. I mean, this was a lose-lose match. If Hardy won, what was the actual point in him putting it on the line in the first place? If Bully won, why even bother with the Bound for Glory series? Third point, why was this match on at all? You've just paid for a TNA pay-per-view for the main event, and they've just given it away for nothing on Impact. You feel a bit robbed. And I don't know. I don't like Hardy. It was a lose-lose situation for me, but I just...
Yeah, I don't like the idea of Hardy winning. Again, I'm not a Jeff Hardy fan. I would have loved the idea of Bully Ray being added to this as a triple threat. I think that would have been a nice touch, especially because I want to see Bully Ray in that title picture and actually look like he's going to win or has like a real chance to win.
I think if you added him to the triple threat match, though, it would get rid of the point of the Bound for Glory series again, because it's just, the Bound for Glory series is designed for that guy to get a title shot.
Sure, yeah, it would have been off. I totally agree with you. If Hardy lost tonight, and it either turned into a triple threat or Bully Ray got the title shot, yeah, what's the point of the Bound for Glory series? But at the same time, I mean, just because you win the Bound for Glory series doesn't, I mean, like, yes, I don't know. It's almost like that Money in the Bank type situation where, do they give the title shot every time? Do they give them the win every time? Or is it, do they like throw like a spoke in the wheel every once in a while? It'd be nice to see some kind of difference there. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens and who wins at Bound for Glory.
All right, and speaking of Bound for Glory, we're gonna be bringing up the card right now. There's only one match scheduled. There's a few speculation matches we're gonna bring up, but right now we're gonna open up the phone lines. You can call 313-444-3894, or you can add us on the FTW Podcast on Skype. We're gonna be doing this for the next, about 15 minutes. So first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring on Dave. Dave, you there?
Oh, yeah. 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're a bit muffled. But
there we go. Yep, it's because I've got my Total Beaches on.
All right, so obviously tonight's Impact. What did you think of the show?
Yeah, good viewing. The only problems I had with it was with Wes Briscoe. Kurt Angle is so stupid because he is clearly one of them.
Well, you're not wrong there. It's clearly it was a nice move by TNA because they introduced him to the audience without actually giving it fully away. But we do. It is pretty obvious that he is part of that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it does seem weird. And Wes Briscoe really isn't a name that many know. But for those who read like a WrestlingNewsSource.com or anything like that, obviously they know that he's somewhat involved, or maybe just hope that he's involved.
Yeah, I think they brought him on for a reason, and it was a nice little touch, just putting his Kurt Angle's arm around him, just to show that he's there. And as soon as a mask comes off or whatever, then you'll recognise it and think, and all that crap. But
Yeah, it's like with that Joey Ryan situation with Al Snow. You should just put him straight through that table next time, because he sucker punched him like twice, chucked water at him, and then refuses to get in the ring with him.
yeah, that's just. I think Joey Ryan's been used more than anyone else out of all the gut check people, but
He'll have his moment.
Yeah.
He'll have his moment, and Al Snow will get him. Give it.
It's like with some of the gut check contestants, Taylor Hendricks is now Knockouts champion at OVW. So sooner or later, they're going to have to bring her up.
Well, they put them all down there for testing, and just to get them used to the ring and to the Impact way as such. But yeah,
I think Taylor Hendricks is one of the more promising ones that I would bring up. She looked very good in the ring.
Yeah, that's an interesting note, Dave. I mean, this was something that was posted on the Impact Facebook group earlier today, but a lot of the guys who went through gut check are now basically champions or championship contenders in OVW. You have Alex Silva as the television champion there. Like you said, Taylor Hendricks is the women's champion. Jesse Goddard is half of the tag champs. So they're definitely putting those guys to work in OVW to make sure that they're really ready to be involved in the ring. Do you guys think that's a good way about doing it, or would you rather see these guys on TNA television right now?
I think you have the danger of if you leave them off TV for so long, when they come back, it's going to be pretty meaningless unless they refresh our memory. But
there's a time limit, I think, where the audience thinks that they're relevant or not. So they've got to play it carefully.
Because what I reckon they should do with that is, like, once every couple of weeks, get them over to the Impact Zone for a match.
Yeah.
Even if it's only for like a 15-minute period, just get them in so they can get some time for a match.
The issue with TNA that we said a bit earlier is TNA are whipping through, like really going through things, 3-4 minute segments, just going through them straight away like that. So
like Dawn versus Rude next week, that's gonna be awesome.
I will bet you that match will not happen next week.
Yeah, I mean, if it's scheduled, I mean, if it does in fact happen where Rude comes down and accepts a challenge, I don't see a real ending to the match. Either it'll end in like a no contest, or security will just break it up, before it gets started, or something strange like that, so that they do have an altercation, but not an official match.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Dave. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, because it's 4:45 in the morning, and I'm just about to go to bed.
It is, fella. You've got a great point there.
All right. Well, thank you for joining, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Thank you for having me on.
All right. Good night.
Have a great night, man.
All right. So once again, I want to thank Dave. And if you guys want to join, we are on for, another 5-10 minutes, Lee. You can add us on Skype, the FTW Podcast, or 313-444-3894. I know we were getting a few calls earlier, and I ignored them, so I'm sorry. You can come on now. Again, the only match that's scheduled right now for Bound for Glory is Jeff Hardy versus Austin Aries. You can throw in those speculation matches like a James Storm versus Bobby Roode, the triple threat tag team match, Kaz Daniels versus AJ and Angle versus Chavo and Hernandez, and Tessmacher versus Tara for the Knockouts Championship. Really, I think that's pretty much all that they've really speculated at this point. But right now, we've got Kyler on the line. Kyler, are you there?
Hey.
All right, what do you think about Impact tonight?
I liked it, but I thought a lot of the parts were kind of awkward.
Which parts?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which parts?
I thought it was kind of weird with Zema Ion because I don't know, like, I couldn't really get into it. It just seemed kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't think Zema Iron could get into it either. He seemed really disinterested in that whole match, which is what I was saying before. I don't know. I don't know what's up. I think it's just maybe they're dissatisfied with not getting a lot of TV time. They pushed that title match on at last minute for No Surrender, and then tonight was a rematch of that. I couldn't really get into it either. It seemed like the crowd couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, and it's just down to they've not had any time at all to really to push any kind of story as such. So it'd be nice to see more of them on TV and actually create something to build around.
Yeah, the live chat is saying that they love the Spot Fest. Sanjay Dutt was fantastic, I thought, but it seemed like it was basically a repeat of what we saw on Sunday. And yeah, Sanjay Dutt is just not getting the reaction that he was getting, 2 months ago. And it's probably all because of TV time.
Yeah,
I'm actually really liking Sanjay.
Kyler, do you think that they'll book Sanjay versus Zema Ion again, another rematch at Bound for Glory? All right, it looks like we lost Kyler, so let's move on. We have just a few more minutes, but want to do a couple shout-outs. First, obviously the Facebook group. Everyone in the Facebook group tonight, we had, I think, about 300 comments. Just everyone's live reaction to tonight's Impact. You can reach that group at facebook.com/groups/TNA where the big boys play. Also Robert, Nick, Will, in the live chat. A lot of people that we see during the FTW shows as well. Glad to see everyone there. It's about 45 minutes after Impact. Overall, it was an okay show. It was an okay response to No Surrender. Obviously, we saw a lot of repeats from No Surrender, but it's continuation. We all knew that No Surrender wasn't the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is Bound for Glory, and that's what they're building up to, and that's what they're still building up to. So I think overall, it was a good answer to No Surrender, and I'm still looking forward to Bound for Glory and what they're doing with just about every single storyline that's going on right now.
Yeah, there's not a bad storyline. It's just where they're going to go with it. It's just, which is good. Unpredictable TV, always a winner.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. So, anyways, we're going to close up. Once again, this was What an Impact. You can join us every Thursday directly after Live Impact. This is the official podcast of facebook.com/groups/TNA where the big boys play. Brought to you by FTW Podcast. You can find us at ftwpodcast.com. All right, and we'll leave it with that. Good night, everyone.
Cheers, guys.